Remember the Stanford Marshmallow experiment? No, it wasn't a psychedelic rock band from the 1960s. It was actually a scientific experiment focused on delayed gratification. And the basic finding was that the longer you can wait for something, the better it's going to be. And you know, that's true for many things in life, and it's also true for one of the most important parts of your retirement, which is maximizing your Social Security benefits. I'm Wes Wood, the Income Guy, and I'm founder and president of Wood Financial Group. And for nearly 20 years, I've specialized in helping hardworking Tennesseans just like you reach their retirement goals through income-based financial strategies. And if you're looking for the right solutions to achieve your own financial goals, you've come to the right place. And at any time during today's show, you can reach out to me at retiretv.com or by calling 855-776-0614. Now, can you name one source of retirement income that you can count on? One source? And if you're a hardworking American, you probably raised your hand and said Social Security. And you know, technically you would be right. So Social Security was created just after the Great Depression, and what it was there to do was to provide a safety net for older Americans after they've left the workforce. And you know, we all pay into the Social Security system through that tax on our paychecks, and then we finally get the opportunity to draw it anytime between the age of 62 and 70 years old. And the other basic fact that everyone seems to know about Social Security is that the longer that you can wait to take your benefits, the higher your income is going to be. Therefore, it's pretty simple, right? Maximizing your Social Security benefits is all just simply a matter of waiting. So that's it, guys. That's it. That's today's show. That's all I have for today. It's glad you tuned in, and be sure to tune in next week. But you know, I'm just messing with you because if it was that easy, we wouldn't be here today. But today I want to teach you 3 things that you're going to learn from today's program. The first thing about Social Security, you're going to learn that timing is not the only factor when considering how to maximize your benefits. Secondly, it is so important to coordinate your benefits with a broader income plan. And lastly, you're going to learn why you need to work with an advisor that is uniquely qualified to maximize your benefits in every possible way. And this week, David Scranton is going to join us again. He's an income specialist with well over 30 years in the business, and he's also a best-selling author and a TV host. But before we get to Dave, let's talk a little bit more about this Stanford Marshmallow experiment. And what it was a famous study, psychology study done in the 1970s. And in this study, they set children down, and the children were offered a choice. One choice is that they could get a reward right away, or if they waited for just 15 minutes, they would get more rewards. And this reward was typically a cookie, a piece of candy, and of course that marshmallow. And what was found is that initially, the kids that were able to wait not only got more marshmallows in the end, but they actually had better outcomes later on in life as they followed them with this study. And, you know, this analogy is with Social Security is pretty obvious. If you take your benefits right away, let's say at age 62, you're going to get a smaller reward than if you would have waited. Because remember, the longer you wait, the bigger the reward is going to be. More accurately, if you take Social Security early, you're going to get a reduction that could be as high as a 30% reduction as if you were to have waited until full retirement age or normal retirement age. Which that's typically between age 66 and 67, and that's depending on the year that you were born. On the flip side, if you wait past normal retirement age, every year that you wait, you're going to get an 8% annual credit. That's going to top out at age 70. That's a whole lot more marshmallows just by simply waiting. And that makes it sound like maximizing Social Security is simply a matter of waiting as long as you can wait to take it. But as we know, with many things in life, it's just not that simple. The decision of when to apply is going to depend on a variety of factors unique to your situation. And these factors include everything from your health, your marital status, what's your life expectancy, what are your income needs, whether or not you plan on continuing to work, and your other sources of retirement income, and many more things. Now, I guess it's possible that you could weigh all the different factors and ways to take Social Security benefits and identify the best time to take Social Security. I guess it's possible. But what I've found in my experience, is that your odds of making the right decision based on all the data improve greatly by working with a financial advisor who specializes in retirement income. And we can help you maximize your Social Security benefits at Wood Financial Group. So reach out to us at retiretv.com or by calling 855-776-0614. Remember, Social Security is designed to be a source of retirement income you can count on no matter what and for as long as you're going to need it. Now, consider that the goal of a retirement income specialist is to help you turn not only your Social Security on the right way, but your savings as a reliable income stream that you can never outlive. And the truth is, Social Security alone is not nearly enough for most people to achieve their retirement goals. And that's why it needs to be aligned with your broader retirement plan to maximize your income with your investment strategy. And we're going to talk about more of that in just a moment, but let's talk to my friend, today's guest, David Scranton. A little bit about Dave. He is the founder of Sound Income Strategies, a registered investment advisory firm, and he has more than 30 years of experience as a financial advisor. And he's also an Amazon best-selling author, and he's the founder of the Retirement Income Store, also the host of the Income Generation on YouTube. Hey, Dave, thanks for being here.
Well, you're very welcome. And I know you do a lot of adult education that you provide in the Nashville area to folks. And you've done hundreds of these types of analyses. And I know that not always, waiting is not always the answer.
Right.
So what types of circumstances would lead to a recommendation by you whereby maybe somebody takes it at age 62 instead of waiting?
You're right, Dave. A lot of people come in and they think, oh, Wes, you're just going to tell me to wait. That's not true at all. A lot of times people need to maybe go ahead and take it or take it early. The most common circumstance on why people are going to want to take it early is life expectancy. You know, if somebody's single, maybe their health is not very good, they know that their family history is, they're not going to carry a very long life. They're not going to make it to that break-even point, which may be at 80 years old before it makes sense to wait. So for those folks, in most cases, it's good to just go ahead and start and get that income rolling in as soon as possible.
So, okay, now I'm going to try to get you for some personal, I hate to do this on your TV show, but I need some personal advice here, okay?
Okay.
You've told me before that for me, I should wait till age 70, period. Why'd you recommend that?
Well, for one thing, you've got pretty good genes, but not only that, your wife is quite a bit younger than you and very healthy and in very good shape. And so if you were to, I hate to say it, but kick the bucket, it's going to give her more as a survivor benefit for the rest of her life, since your benefits are going to be greater than her. So no offense, Dave, but we want to make sure that Teresa's taken care of.
At least now I'm clear. Thank you.
Yes, you got it. And we're going to have a lot more with David Scranton soon. But coming up after the break, we're going to talk about the difference between the first and the second best strategies for taking Social Security benefits. Stay tuned for more of the Retirement Income Show with your host, Wesley Wood.
A fiduciary is someone legally obligated to act in your best interest. Doctors, lawyers, and some financial advisors are fiduciaries, but not all. When you work with Wes Wood and his team at Wood Financial Group, you are working with fiduciaries. They help clients create customized investment portfolios based off their retirement goals. If you're ready to work with a fiduciary, visit retiretv.com and schedule a free, no-obligation conversation with Wes or a Wood Financial Group advisor.
Hi, I'm Wesley Wood, host of the Retirement Income Show, and I'm founder and president of Wood Financial Group. And we're a local independent financial services company that specializes in creating custom retirement solutions tailored to meet your particular needs.
Visit retiretv.com to learn how we can help you create a customized retirement portfolio.
Welcome back to the Retirement Income Show. I'm your host, Wesley Wood. Let's talk more about the different strategies for taking your Social Security benefits. Consider this, the difference between the first and the second best strategy for taking Social Security could amount to more than $100,000 over the course of your lifetime. And in my experience, the sooner that you start working with the right advisor, the better your odds are of fully maximizing Social Security in every way. You can start that today by reaching out to me at retiretv.com or by calling 855-776-0614 and ask for your custom Social Security report. Advisors like me who specialize in retirement income are trained to use this state-of-the-art software, and what it allows us to do is analyze all the relevant data and determine how you can squeeze the very most out of Social Security that you're entitled to. And that process begins with answering one critical question, which is when to start taking your benefits. But it's not going to end there. There are other important factors we need to consider. Decisions that are related to things like what's your earnings record? What's your survivor benefits? What's your spousal benefits? And if you're divorced, what's your divorce spousal benefits? All of which can be extremely complicated. Give you an example. The goal with a spousal benefit is to maximize income for both you and your spouse while you're still living, and to maximize the income for the survivor after one of you were to pass away. And with the help of the right advisor, we can make sure to achieve that goal. He or she, the advisor, can also help you minimize your tax burden in Social Security, which can be crucial to minimize taxes in retirement. Now, there's several strategies for minimizing Social Security taxes, but they often require a professional's knowledge to implement these strategies. But some of them can include things like reducing your income with other tax advantageous investments, properly coordinating your required minimum distributions, and perhaps looking at converting from traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. You know, the right advisor can also make sure that you're aware of any recent or pending changes that could affect your strategy. And you probably already heard, but we have a brand new president in office. And the brand new President Biden has already proposed several changes to Social Security. He's looking at it right now. Changes like increasing benefits for certain recipients like widows and widowers. He's also proposing using a different type of calculator to bump up annual cost of living adjustments in Social Security, which would actually likely make those benefits greater and increase your income later on. Now, these are merely proposals. They may not even be approved, and even if they are approved, they may not affect you at all. However, if they are, they may create new challenges or maybe even opportunities for you to maximize your Social Security. And once again, an income specialist is uniquely qualified to help you meet those challenges and to take advantage of those opportunities that may exist. Now, I want to welcome back Dave Scranton. Welcome back, Dave.
Well, thanks for having me back. Awesome.
Yep.
So you talked about the taxation of Social Security, but I know there's always this element of reduction of Social Security also. So how does that fit into the picture?
Yeah, there's a little bit of confusion around that. So reduction and taxation on Social Security are definitely two different things. Let's talk about reduction first. So a lot of times people end up getting a reduction in Social Security because maybe they're taking it early. So they're not getting as much had they have waited. But another thing that can happen, and I'm not going to get into too many details on today's show, but if they make too much in the form of wages, work income, and they're taking Social Security early, they could potentially see a reduction in their benefits. As a matter of fact, if they go over the threshold, every $2 that they make above the limit, they actually see a reduction in Social Security by $1. So that's reduction. Now, taxation's different. So yes, some people can receive Social Security tax-free. However, some people that have higher income end up having to report and pay taxes of 50% of their Social Security. So they report 50% of it and then pay taxes on that based on whatever tax bracket they're in. And a lot of people end up having to pay taxes on 85% of their Social Security that they're collecting at whatever bracket they're in there. So that's the difference between reduction and taxation for most people.
Okay, so just to summarize, it sounds like reduction has to do if someone takes Social Security early.
Correct.
And then they earn over that threshold. Essentially, for every $2 they earn, they have to give $1 of benefit back. But that's only based upon earned income. When somebody goes to work, gets a W-2, or maybe someone's self-employed and earns a profit in their company, correct? Am I right so far?
Yeah, you got it. You nailed it, Dave. So it is work income, because that is a common misconception. You know,
In taxation, but taxation has to do with all of your income, which means if I have rental income, if I have IRA withdrawals, if I have interest and dividends, all that gets lump summed together to determine if I have to pay taxes on my Social Security. Am I still correct?
That's right. Now, a lot of people do take Social Security early. And the confusion there is that people think that they can't have income coming in with their Social Security, or they see a reduction. But that's not the case. It's just work income. So if it's rental income, distributions from IRAs, or maybe a pension, if you're blessed enough to get one of those, you're not going to see a reduction in your Social Security due to that. It's just work income from a job. You're exactly right.
Right. Great. Now, it's interesting because I love the way you talked about the taxation. You said it succinctly. Because I hear some people saying, what? I have to pay 50% of my benefit in taxes, or I have to pay 85% of my benefit in taxes? Well, no, you're never going to give 85% of your benefit to the government, right? So do you mind repeating that one more time? Because I think you said it perfectly and people need to hear it again.
Yeah, you got it. So it's just the amount of money you make. I'm not going to boil it down into the actual formula there, but if you make too much, not too much income, but if you have too much income on your tax return, or you're making a lot of income, then a portion of your Social Security is going to be taxed. If you go under a certain limit, under the provisional threshold, you may get your income tax-free from Social Security. However, if you go over a certain threshold, you may have to report and pay taxes on 50%. Now, that 50% is reportable, but then it's taxed at whatever bracket you're in. And people that have higher income in retirement may make enough to where 85% of their Social Security is now taxed. Then they pay taxes at whatever bracket that they're in. So 22%, 24%. That's going to be the tax on that 85% or that 50% in those two examples, right?
Wes, I know you don't have time to get into the details, but I assume you have tax saving strategies that people can use to help reduce the taxation on their Social Security, right?
Yeah, there's tons of them. You really need to look at things like required minimum distributions. You know, a lot of people, especially a lot of my clients, know that they've got RMDs coming down the pipeline, so they go ahead and kind of get ahead of it because they know they're getting their Social Security now at a very low bracket, but then they're going to see their RMDs coming in soon, and it's going to make it to where they're going to pay more tax on Social Security. But that's just one of them. There's a lot of other things that we can consider than when reducing taxes on Social Security. But hey, Dave, thanks again. And coming back after this break, we're going to talk more about the best way and time to take your Social Security benefits.
Retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs are great tools to save for retirement. They offer tax advantages to help keep more money in your pocket. But withdrawing money from your accounts can have a huge impact on your tax liability. Take money from the right account at the right time and you could minimize it. But taking money from the wrong account at the wrong time could result in a big tax burden. If you're not sure what you should do with your 401k in retirement, visit retiretv.com to schedule a free, no-obligation conversation with Wes Wood and Wood Financial Group.
I'm David Scranton. During my career, I found that most baby boomers have done a great job growing their retirement savings, yet many don't know how to convert their savings into steady income. And that is why I built the Retirement Income Store, to help hardworking Americans preserve their assets and establish steady streams of income.
If you're 55 or older, please claim our free Retirement Income Kit, chock full of information you need to know to get steady income during your retirement. Call 866-714-7377, online at theretirementinComeStore.com.
Welcome back to the Retirement Income Show. I'm your host, Wesley Wood. Today we've talked a lot about marshmallows. However, the fact is Social Security is much more than just a little treat or marshmallow that people can look forward to. Even if you have a comfortable savings, Social Security may still be more valuable and strategically important than you even realize. Let's consider this. Suppose your benefit based on your lifetime earnings when you start taking it starts at $2,000 a month. Well, if you just lived for 10 years, you would have received over $300,000 in lifetime benefits. if you live for 20 years, into your 80s, let's say, you would have received over $600,000 in lifetime benefits. And if you live into your 90s, you would have, over 30 years, you would have received over $1 million over your lifetime. Now, this calculation does improve an annual cost of living increase of around 2.8%, which is the current level. But as I mentioned before, that increase may be even higher in the future if President Biden has his way. The point is that although Social Security isn't enough for most people to achieve their retirement goals, it may be a bigger and more important asset than you even realize. And in my experience, many people who think that they have plenty of savings end up taking their Social Security for granted. And that's a danger. And the potential danger is that they've never taken the time to calculate their retirement income needs with all the relevant factors taken into account. We need to consider factors like required minimum distributions, their specific retirement goals, their life expectancy, inflation, and one that's forgotten about a lot is healthcare inflation, which is rising at a much steeper and faster rate than the general cost of living. And if you're one of those folks, you may be greatly underestimating your retirement income needs and therefore overestimating the ability of your savings to meet those needs. That's why it's just as important for you to strategically maximize your Social Security benefits as if you were someone that may have less savings, and to coordinate them with the right investment allocation. And in my experience, that means an allocation that's geared towards income. And once again, you can learn much more about the right way to take your benefits by reaching out to me directly at retiretv.com or by calling 855-776-0614. Ultimately, Social Security can serve as a foundation of a sound retirement income strategy, regardless of your level of wealth. However, it's not going to happen magically. And it's just not as simple as figuring out whether you should take your marshmallow right now or take your marshmallows later. That, as we've seen, is just only a trick and only a part of when it comes to truly maximizing your Social Security benefits. But hey, let's welcome back David Scranton. Welcome back, Dave.
Well, thank you very much. So while we're on this topic of other investments and integrating other investments with Social Security, let's break it down. Let's start with, if I were to take Social Security early. Now, I know it's not what you're recommending, but if I take it, let's say at age 62, then what do I need to do with my investments to make sure that they're coordinated with that early benefit?
Yeah, well, I don't always recommend waiting until 70. Some of my clients do take it at 62, and it works out great. But in order to make sure you have enough income in retirement, you need to figure out, first of all, how much income you need to have, which is the goal setting process that we've talked about in previous shows. But what you'll find is that probably Social Security isn't enough, especially if you're taking it at 62 to do the things that you want to do in retirement. So there's going to be a shortfall, or what we call a gap in income, a gap in your monthly income or your yearly income. So in order to fill that gap and to make sure that it's taken care of, is the asset allocation with the investments need to be coordinated with that income need, therefore generating enough in the form of interest and dividends to fill that gap so you can take your Social Security at 62, have interest and dividends coming in to give you the income that you want and or need while you're retired.
Okay, so now unfortunately I'm going to have to ask you another self-serving question on your airtime here. For me, if I take it in 10, let's say I want to retire in 10 years at age 65.
Yep.
But because you recommend that I wait till age 70 to take Social Security, now how does the way in which I have to coordinate my investments with my Social Security, how's that different when I'm taking Social Security late, as you recommended?
Well, even though that may be a personal question, that's one that that's one that I field a lot. So if you're going to retire at 65, or if I have a client that wants to retire at 65, but they know that in order to get the very most out of Social Security for their lifetime, because we've run an analysis, we've done all the work, we've looked at the details, and they say, oh, I can get a whole lot more from Social Security by waiting those 5 years to get to 70. Well, we need to make sure that the investment allocation is geared towards more conservative, fixed income, interest and dividends, so they can feel comfortable and safely take money out of that portfolio for those 5 years to fill that gap or that void. Even if they're depleting a little bit of principal, that's okay, but we don't need to be taking on a lot of risk. because if we're taking on a lot of risk in those 5 years and their portfolio drops, that could spell disaster. So we need to make sure that the allocation is geared towards income and safety for those few 5 years that we see.
Because right now, I mean, I would love it if I can get a CD that would guarantee me 8%. And by deferring Social Security, that's exactly what you're doing for me, is getting me 8% guaranteed growth. But if I had money in the stock market and let's say it dropped by 40, 50%, now I may not be able to sell at a loss. And I might have to take Social Security early and forfeit all that risk-free 8% growth that I really wouldn't want to forfeit, right?
Exactly, or even worse, maybe you have to go back to work to save up again and start all over again, all those bad things. But yes, if there is a bank out there that's offering you 8%, I would not only walk away with your wallet, I would run the other direction. So if we can get 8% from the government,
that's right.
That's a pretty good way to go. So making sure that asset allocation is more conservative and geared towards income, we can get that 8%. We can have our cake and eat it too. But Dave, hey, thanks again for joining us on the show. I'm Wes Wood, the Income Guy. And if you have any questions about anything that we've covered on today's show, please reach out to me at retiretv.com or by calling 855-776-0614. Hey, thanks again for watching, and be sure to tune in next week.
A fiduciary is someone legally obligated to act in your best interest. Doctors, lawyers, and some financial advisors are fiduciaries, but not all. When you work with Wes Wood and his team at Wood Financial Group, you are working with fiduciaries. They help clients create customized investment portfolios based off their retirement goals. If you're ready to work with a fiduciary, visit retiretv.com and schedule a free, no-obligation conversation with Wes or a Wood Financial Group advisor.